Our Sunday Night Football, 45 minutes at 8:15 Eastern. Peyton Manning and the Colts at the AFC East champion New England Patriots. But next, a little show. You might have heard of it. Week 2 on NFL Primetime. It was a slugfest at Lambeau Field. Would Keyshawn test the Raven bet?
Foley throwing the damn ball.
Intimidation. The Chiefs and Jags dished it out, while Barry and the Lions took some licks. Could the Bears fend off the Men of Steel? The Saints shoot for 2 in a row? Falcons and Eagles exchanging blows, while Aikman took a major one himself. Could the Raiders withstand the Giants' D? It's all here on NFL Primetime. Hello, everybody. Welcome to NFL Primetime for Week 2. I'm Chris Berman, along with my longtime compatriot, 12 years now, Tom Jackson. And we had some surprising teams 2-0.
Unusual Sunday, second Sunday of the season.
Some surprising 2-0s.
Yes.
Some surprising and disturbing 0-2s. Let's get started in a game between two of the most venerable franchises in the National Football League. The Chicago Bears at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, two teams expected to go different places this year. As long as they've been around, this is their first meeting in the 1990s. Let's head to the Confluence, where the Steelers, home opener for Bill Cowher. Beard gone before the season started. Good move. Curtis Enos, draft pick, finally signed Bears. Real good move. He has speed as well as power, Tom.
Speed, power, aggressiveness. You just feel like he needs to get the ball a little bit more. 22 carries today.
94 yards for Enos, the rookie from Penn State. Eric Kramer, play fake. When you have a back like Enos, you can do things like this to Bobby Ingram. 54 yards at the touchdown. The Bears do miss the extra point, but they lead at Three Rivers 6-0. Later in the second, Jerome Bettis had a horrible game last week against Baltimore. Rumbling, fumbling, stumbling. 42 yards for the bus that sets up a 1-yard run by him. He had 85 yards rushing in the first half, but 9-7 Bears leading into the third quarter. Now it's 10-9 in the third, Pittsburgh. Cordell Stewart, another slow start for him, but Andre Coleman with the circus juggle and the touchdown. And Pittsburgh native Dave Wannstedt, the Bears coach, can't believe it because his club is down 17-9. And after a field goal makes it 17-12 on 4th and 4, Kramer, Curtis Conway, first down. Right before the 2-minute warning. Kramer looking for Ryan Wetnight, deflected, but Conway with the great grab.
Yeah, great concentration by Conway off the deflection. Always have to stick with the ball when it's tipped.
So with 54 seconds left, Kramer picked off by Johnny on the spot, Carnell Lake. You put him at corner, you put him at safety, and to the Bears' chagrin, Pittsburgh wins it by the count of 17-12. We told you Bettis' numbers, 21 carries for 131 yards. By the way, it's the first time they've met at Three Rivers in the 90s. I will say this. Give Dave Wannstedt's club, Tommy, a lot of credit. They're supposed to get slaughtered by Jacksonville and Pittsburgh, and frankly, they could have won either game. They did not. The Steelers, not a great 2-0.
Yeah, and you mentioned a slow start by Cordell Stewart. A good day by Jerome Bettis makes up for it today. But at some point, Cordell Stewart's going to have to carry this team the first month of the season.
Bengals and the Lions. Home opener for Detroit, Barry Sanders. 100-yard string snapped last week at 14 games. Pick it up tied at 14 in the third quarter. And you've seen this before. Sanders left, right, whoop, shakes a tackle, whoop, and he's gone. He could go all the way. 67 yards, second of 3 TDs in the game. The Lions lead at 21-14.
Yeah, and number 90, Michael Bankston, does a good job of holding the cutback lane, just not able to wrap up Barry Sanders.
Tied at 21 in the fourth quarter. Damon Gibson at the 35 changes directions to want to watch the run, but watch 2 blocks downfield. The first by Tremaine Mack on Ron Rice right there, and then boom! John Jett, the punter, is now Joan Jett in the Blackhearts. Raynard Wilson with the big block. 65-yard return by Gibson for the touchdown. Under a minute to go, we're tied at 28. Scott Mitchell. Oh, no. Ashley Ambrose. Ashley makes the interception. 2 seconds to go. Doug Bass to the Pelfrey for the win. Mark Spindler blocks it. We go to overtime. Just 4 plays in. Third down for Detroit. Mitchell, it's an out to Corey Sawyer. Mitchell on the attempted tackle. So 2 throws at the end. Quizzical by Mitchell. Coslett celebrates. The Bengals in overtime win it 34-28 despite 185 yards rushing for Barry Sanders. Neil O'Donnell did throw for 303 yards. But Tom, and look, I mean, we're not here to be overly critical at all.
That's correct.
But
that is correct.
Scott Mitchell last week, unfortunately for him in the Lions, 4th and 1 quarterback sneak results in a Packer touchdown. This time, the last 2 throws of the game, they're horrible. They've got to stop this in a hurry.
Well, we hate to put more pressure on the quarterback. There's already enough on every quarterback in the NFL, but now 2 weeks in a row, critical mistakes by Scott Mitchell in critical situations. Last week, he didn't get the yards from Barry Sanders that you would expect, but this week, as Chris said, 185 yards from Barry Sanders. At the end of the game, when you have to be poised, when you have to be focused, we get Scott Mitchell with an interception that gives the Bengals a chance to win, and then an interception that gives the game away in overtime. You cannot do it in this league. You are not going anywhere to the playoffs or anywhere else if the quarterback doesn't play well.
Behind him is the longtime veteran for Buffalo, Frank Reich, and a second-round pick from Eastern Michigan, Charlie Batch. Of course, they paid Scott a lot of money.
That is
he
correct.
led him to the playoffs last year.
Well, you hope
going to lead him this
you
week.
hope he plays better next week.
Well, certainly Bobby Ross and company do. When we return, the Saints, Sean Dawkins, can the Saints go 2-0 by beating the Panthers? And could the Falcons go 2-0 by leveling opposing quarterbacks like the Eagles' Bobby Hoy? Danny Werfel started 2 games. The Saints were shut out in both. He's playing with Philly Joe Hobart out for the year. And look at this. Deshaun Dawkins on the slant. And he could go all the way. 64 yards, 7-0 Saints. Just 59 seconds in. No more shutout. Dom. Capers saying to Doug Evans, watch.
Well, you see Doug Evans giving about a 10-yard cushion to Dawkins. He doesn't make a good break on the ball. A slow break comes in at too shallow of an angle, and Dawkins is off to the races.
Second quarter, 10-7. Saints carry Collins. Back foot to Muhsin Muhammad, who had a big game along the sidelines into the end zone, 17-10. Panthers have the lead. Muhammad caught 9 for $192. Fourth quarter, the Saints down by 14-13. Ray Weinzellers off tackle, fine vintage, and he rolls over Doug Evans. 15 yards, that's it. Lead 19-14. They ran for over 200 in the game. 2:07 to be exact. 3 minutes to go. Collins. Joe Johnson, boy, he gets signed a couple weeks ago. Forces the fumble. Wayne Martin recovers. The New Orleans Saints are 2-0 for the first time since medieval times. Now, actually, since 1993, they beat the Panthers 19-14. So the Panthers have lost their opening couple of games. And despite the fact that Lane had 100 yards and Muhammad had some big stats, the Saints win it. Mike Ditka and company 2-0. Eagles and the Falcons. Ray Rhodes' squad skunked 38-0 last week at home against Seattle. Could Bobby Hoying step up? Well, Irving Fryer, first down. Next play, 14 yards to Jeff Graham. Hoying under wraps, looked confident in a quick hitting offense, Tom. 12th play of the drive, he had Deuce Staley, who was an ace. Down to the 1, he would score on the next play. Hoying was 6 for 6 on the opening drive. Falcons down 9-0 in the third. By the way, the Eagles missed the extra point along the way. Chris Chandler to Brian Kozlowski. That combination you've heard about for so many years. Hit, and the Falcons down 9-7. Chandler, incomplete, but Matt Stevens called roughing the pass.
Yeah, Matt Stevens up around the head. You're going to get that call every time from the official.
And he gets it, so 4 plays later, the drive ensued. That was a 3rd and 19 play. Chandler, and chances are, he hits Terrence Mathis down to the 1. Jamal Anderson touchdown, 14-9. Now, under a minute to go, last chance, 4th and 12. Bobby Hoying, oh no! John Burrow with the sack. The Eagles were much gamer this time, but the Falcons win it 17-12. They're 2-0 for the first time since 1986. And the Atlanta Falcons, they're 8-2 in their last 10 games, dating back to last year.
Dan Reeves, a solid game plan offensively, an underrated defense, good special teams. I think the only question with this ball club, how long does Chris Chandler stay healthy?
Who would have guessed the Niners have to win on Monday night to keep pace with the Saints and the Falcons in the NFC West. Bucks, Packers, 2 playoff teams from last year in the North, and 2 playoff teams in the AFC, the Chiefs and Jaguars. Derek Thomas against Tony Vasili. Who would come out on top? Colts against the number 1 pick from the 93 draft, Drew Bledsoe. Bledsoe, of course, has led the Patriots to a Super Bowl. Can he lead it back this year? The Pats need a win in their home opener. What about adjustments from college to pro?
The toughest thing is that there's so many new things you have to deal with. You know, you have to juggle the new financial responsibility, living in a new area, the increased media, expectations and scrutiny. You combine that with a new offense, a new team, new players, new friends, and just everything in your life changes all at once, and you have to try and juggle all this and still perform on the field.
It was hard in college, even though I went there to get my education, but it was hard on Thursday studying for that test when you had a big game on Saturday, whereas here, I mean, it's football all week, and the game plan, and you're studying film, and you're practicing, all building up to 3 hours on Sunday.
Join us right after prime time at 8:15 Eastern. That's 2:15 in Hawaii with Mike, Paul, and Joe, the Patriots and the Colts. When we return, Ryan Lee. Could he lead the Chargers to a 2-0 start in Tennessee? Chiefs and Jaguars. Who would be nimble? Who would be Kimball? Who would tell all and all tell? Historic day in the shadow of the Grand Ole Opry. Football to Nashville, and the Oilers actually have a full house. People who care. 41,000 plus to sell out at the frozen tundra Vanderbilt Stadium. The Oilers playing the San Diego Chargers and Steve McNair to Yancey's big penitent touchdown. But wait, a flag on the play holding Oilers. Remember that. Jeff Fisher loses the touchdown. They would have to punt. Late second quarter, 6-0 Chargers. Oh, those tricky Oilers. Punter Craig Hendrick to Jackie Harris on the fake punt. Drive alive. Which, a few plays later, Steve McNair to Frank Wycheck. Touchdown just before the half, 7-6 Oilers. Third quarter on 3rd and 9. Chargers from the Tennessee 21. Ryan Lee. And Tommy, he can move much better than people think, and he puts the shoulder down, too. Next play. You know that he could put the shoulder down. Natron means business. Blaine Bishop tries it, but Means with the touchdown. 13-7, the Lightning Bolt. As for the Charger rush defense against Eddie George.
Yeah, Eddie George here having a hard time. Let's remember that Mark Stepnowski, all-pro center, is not in the lineup, so you can see him getting stuffed in the middle of the football field. And then watch the pursuit by Junior Seau here. Inside out, you see George trying to bounce the ball out. And what a nice tackle by Junior Seau.
These numbers are not a misprint. 15 carries for 11 yards for Eddie George. The Chargers, one of the most surprising starts in football, 2-0. And here's a team that scored just 29 points in their 2 wins, but they do not need to make apologies. They have won on the road. Ryan Lee, 13-24 for 179, but he's already a leader, Tom.
Yeah, I think that he has the kind of cockiness and aggressiveness that you need in a rookie quarterback.
Other than Denver, 2 teams that you might pick for the Super Bowl, the AFC, the Chiefs and the Jaguars. But factor in the Jaguars special teams, because on his own 15, Reggie Barlow fields a punt, and he could go all the way. 85 yards to the chagrin of Marty Schottenheimer. 7-0 Jaguars. Second quarter, Mark Brunell did not have a big day to Jimmy Smith. 17 yards, 14-0. The Jaguars had it. Smith get open, Tom.
Yeah, Mark McMillan here, number 29. You see him spot shadow right there. He is going to bite. You see his head looking in the backfield right there. Only took Jimmy Smith a step to get open for the touchdown.
And then you just don't feel good, so you want to see it all by yourself. The McMillan's a gamer. Second half kickoff. Here's another game. Rookie Tavian Banks fields it at the 4. What? Makes the cut. Almost got hit by the CBS eye. And look at him go. 65 yards all the way down to the 31-yard line. Setting up another Jags touchdown. 21-6 Jacksonville. Late third quarter, the Chiefs down 21-9. Rich Gannon starting for the injured Elvis Grbac bobbles to Tony Fernandez. And boom, Aaron Beasley pops him, but Gonzalez holds on. They exchange pleasantries. And 2 plays later, though, the Chiefs are still in business. Until swing pass, Gannon, Kimball Anders. Dave Thomas, one of the McKenzie brothers, forces the fumble. Rick Moranis falls on it. How's it going, eh? Kick off. Jaguars beat the Chiefs 21-16, so they go to 2-0. Thanks to the play of their special teams. Little man Stewart had a second straight 100-yard game at 103 yards rushing. This time, Bennett had a big game running in the first game for Kansas City at 115 yards, but he was kept way under wraps. And Tommy, in this game, grade the test for Kansas City. It was a big test for them, although they played without several of their key players.
Yeah, but they didn't play a typical Marty Schottenheimer game. When Marty Schottenheimer teams win, they win by running the football, controlling the ball, and not making mistakes on offense. You saw special teams today gave up a touchdown, gave up field position in key situations. The defense really didn't have a chance against the Jaguar offense. So I think for them to be successful, they can't make mistakes. But maybe even more important, you saw how physical Tom Coughlin's Jacksonville Jaguars can be. They're as physical as anybody in the league.
And Derek Thomas with all the sacks last week, this week.
Well, he's playing against a different football team.
They were a little bit ready, too. So the Jaguars win it, and they go 2-0. Bruce Smith and the Dolphins, where they sacked Dan Marino in Miami. Bruce Smith against the Dolphins. And Glenn Foley, 400 yards last week. What about him in the Jets' home opener against the Ravens? Marshall Faulk. Did he lead the Colts to an upset at the Patriots in Foxborough? Our Sunday night game following primetime at 8:15 Eastern. They have played more times than any other teams in the 90s, the Bills and the Dolphins. Dan Marino losing record against Buffalo lifetime. Points were tough in this game. Play action, Buffalo doesn't fall for it, Marino falls. And guess who's involved? Bruce Smith.
Bruce Smith against Richmond Webb. What a great job of getting outside. I guess the timeout didn't hurt Bruce at all, and coming around to help out on the sack.
Second quarter of a scoreless game, 4th and 1. Jimmy Johnson says, hey, crowd, help us defend Rob Johnson. But Johnson, who struggled today, back in the lineup, hits Eric Moulds for the touchdown. 28 yards, and the Bills lead 7-0. Third quarter tied at 7. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, if I may call you Kareem, gets a block, avoids a tackle, and 25 yards. Sets up a field goal, 10-7 Miami. 2 minutes ago in the third quarter, Johnson runs into his own man, dropped by Trace Armstrong, who had 2 sacks. Jerome Buckland, now watch this, return. What? Go back 5, go back 10. Now watch him say, block him. No, block him, and him. That did not work. There's a hit by Gabe, Northern Exposure. Johnson to pass, 13-7. The Dolphins lead a minute and a half to go. He's sacked for the 8th time. 3 seconds left. A Hail Mary is in order in Miami against Jimmy Johnson. Incomplete. They never looked at Doug Flutie, the miracle man from last week. As a result, the Dolphins beat the Bills 13-7. Jabbar, pretty good day running the football, 75 yards. The 8 sacks for the Miami defense. Armstrong, Jason Taylor, and Lorenzo Brown had 2 each. Rob Johnson looks like a rookie quarterback. He's got the tools, but he didn't feel the rush. He didn't have a feel for a 2-minute drill. It's as if they have a rookie there. The Bills will have to wait for him to grow into the job. Ravens, Jets. 7-7, second quarter. Oh, look at those old green unis. Curtis Martin for 5 yards and it's first down. And this is why they got 1 yard. This is why Bill Parcells got Curtis Martin. Well, 1 yard. On 3rd and goal, this is...
And one of his best blockers is Maui, the center, and I think that's why you see this team going up the middle of the football field, even though, as we can see here, they had very little success.
4th and goal, and Bill Parcells is going to go for it. And this is why they got Curtis Lewis and Michael McCreary make it a 14-play drive, no point. Jim Harbaugh glanced at only a quarter and a half and would give way to Eric. No time to wallow in the Zaire. To Michael Jackson, 39 yards over Otis Smith. Later in the drive, as Harbaugh watches Zaire, goes to his big tight end Eric Green, 20 yards, 14-7 the Ravens. And Bill can do this to Otis, my man Smith. He looked at that seat McMillan had on the bench. Third quarter, 17-7 the Ravens. 3rd and 1, and Martin stopped again. Have to settle for a field goal. It's now a 17-10 game. Same score, 4th quarter. Glenn Foley back to pass. Rod Woodson, the veteran, can still do it. He could go all the way. His second pick of the afternoon. 60-yard touchdown. 3 picks thrown by Glenn Foley. No 400-yard game this time. And the Ravens beat the Jets 24-10. Jermaine Lewis had a 69-yard punt return to the game as well. And the Jets offense puzzling.
Well, you see the carries there for Martin, 23 carries, 58 yards. But the 58 yards don't take the pressure off Glenn Foley. You have to remember he doesn't have great experience on the field. The more times you make him throw it, the more mistakes he's going to make.
And Martin was the only one that carried the ball on the ground. It didn't work too well. When we return, oh, here's a team that can work it well on offense. Robert Smith and the Vikes. What would they boil up against St. Louis? And the big battle of the Bay of Pigs. Bucks packed at Lambeau Field. The Vikings, the high-powered Vikings, their offense is so high they show that the play's that high at St. Louis against the Rams. Brad Johnson and Robert Smith. Big hole to the left, and Tom, I don't think they're going to get him. He could go all the way. 74 yards, second TD for Smith already at 24-10.
Well, you see Todd Light and Ryan McNeil in coverage, but they are in coverage. Watch the safety take the wrong angle as he comes up. He charges in, gets to the hash. Don't pay too much attention to those corners. Look at the safety come up, takes the wrong angle, and then you find the corners in a chase.
24-10 Minnesota, the third quarter. Brad Johnson back to pass, but DeMarco Farr spins him. It's hit at the fumble. The uniform says M.D. Jones. Rumbling, bubbling, stumbling. M.D., the spin doctor. Down to the 14-yard line. Greg Hill gets a touchdown. It's 24-17. Now it's 31-24 Minnesota. Tony Banks to the Reverend Isaac Bruce. 80 yards. Fuller can't knock the ball out. 31 all Bruce. 11 catches, 192 yards. Brad Johnson leads. Ankle sprain. Check on it tomorrow. Randall Cunningham in. 2:15 to go. To Chris Carter. All he does,
Catch touchdown.
38-31. Cunningham to Carter. 22 seconds left in the game. 4th and 3. Banks to Ricky Prohl, but there's a flag on Jimmy Hitchcock.
Very questionable call.
Well, they get the call in St. Louis. Sit out. 4th down again. Last play of the game. Banks. Nobody open. He's going to run to the 10, to the 5. It's a 10. He's caught at the 1 for Vikings. If he went up, he would have got clobbered. If he tried to burrow his way through. A game effort by the St. Louis Rams, but Minnesota wins at 38-31, and oddly enough, you saw Cunningham to Carter in 1987. As a member of the Eagles, Chris Carter caught his first NFL touchdown pass in St. Louis at Busch Stadium.
Yeah.
So he's come back.
Yeah, first 2 weeks of the season, touchdowns to Chris Carter, Randy Moss. We saw Robert Smith with 2 today, Andrew Glover. You get the message. They have a lot of weapons to work with.
Once upon a time, we called it the Bay of Pigs. Last year, both the Packers and the Bucs made the playoffs, and the fans are ready, even though the helmets are small. Tampa Bay's lost 14 of the last 16 to the Packers. Roel Preston had a return for a touchdown last week. The youngster, look at him go on the opening kickoff. Nice move at the 50, all the way across, gets it to the 45-yard line, leads to a field goal, 3-0 Packers. Brett Favre to Tyrone Davis. Davis has a lot of plays Mike Holmgren has for his. Touchdown, 10-0, the Pack.
Yeah, and you see the linebacker here, Derek Brooks on the inside, giving help. You see him try to stop right there, come inside. He is the help guy.
In the first quarter, Reggie White. We've seen this before. There's a sack. It's a fumble. George Kuntz pounces on it. Reggie White with the gift of power. The sack. Dilford in the goal line. No safety. Fritz Sherman, defensive coordinator, punt. Reggie White with the gift of craftiness. Just blows past. 3 sacks in the first half.
Yeah, you take another look here. You're going to see Jerry Wunsch here. And Reggie White has done this his entire career. Still has the great power. Uses that one arm to bash the tackle and then come in on the quarterback.
Under 2 minutes to go in the half. 3rd and 9. Look at how hard Brett Favre throws it. Not that this is news. Boom. Look at how hard Antonio Freeman got popped by Donnie Abraham. But a bullet to Freeman again. Next play, under pressure, Favre is going to throw it incomplete. Now watch Warren Sapp on this play. You talk about pursuit.
Yeah, and you just love this. The helmet gets knocked off. Warren Sapp doesn't care. He's still going after the quarterback and getting him down.
Favre would hurt his hand on the play, but stayed in. 18 seconds to go. Favre to Dorsey Levis. Down to the 4 with 11 seconds to go. Now Favre wants another play, but the Buccaneers won't get off Levis. You can do that only to a point.
Yeah, and at some point, realize that at 6 seconds, if you get up, they'll never get set for a play. They stay on too long, get the call from the official.
They get a call, a flag on Chidi Bang Bang Ahanatu. Delay of game. Holmgren says, hey, we'll take the flag. It cost Tony Dungy 3 points, which made it 16-0, not 13-0 at the half. 4th quarter, Favre. Watch this. Boom by Reagan Upshaw. But how tough is it? Well, look at this. And he acknowledges it.
Well, he takes the lick, but you love the fact that he jumps up and he goes, bring it. Bring on more of this. I like the way we're playing.
Wait, tell you what Favre brought on 2 plays later, Tom. Favre, you know his head is still buzzing. Zip to Freeman. He breaks tackles. Look at him go into the end zone. Touchdown, 38 yards, 23-0 Pack. Jaquez Green had a 95-yard punt return. The Bucs added another touchdown, but the Pack had the big 23-0 lead, and they beat the Buccaneers 23-15. Reggie White had the 3 sacks. Levens left with a sprained ankle, but the big question, Tom, Trent Dilfer, he's fumbling balls, he's getting sacked. Is it just a mental thing against Green Bay for him, or are there other troubles?
I think certainly part of it is mental, Chris. And when you look at the mistakes that he made, we talked about Scott Mitchell earlier. Ditto this for Trent Dilfer. You cannot make critical mistakes, especially on the road. But he also didn't have the run support that he's used to. Warwick Dunn, 12 for 36. Mike Allstott, 6 for 10. That's not enough run support to really let you sit back there and get comfortable throwing the ball.
You know what? This is an amazing moment in Tampa Bay history, because tonight at a soccer game at the Big Sombrero, in which the Tampa Bay Mutiny beat the MetroStars 2-1, they are shutting out the lights forever at the Big Sombrero, the home of the Bucks, from 76 to 97. Young Sarah Champagne, 10 years old, of St. Petersburg, is at the switch. Here it is. The night the lights went out in the Big Sombrero. I don't think I can recover from that.
That's amazing.
They open up their new sombrero next week, and a new home never looked so good. That was amazing. That's it. That's it for the sombrero. I'm going to try and recover. Today, Denver doesn't need to recover. Dallas got some bad news in this game. We'll be back. Late starts around the NFL. The Cards at the Seahawks. Rough day for Jake the Snake Plummer. In Seattle, not far from where he grew up in Boise, Idaho. Plummer back to pass Michael Sinclair, Philip Daniels, sack him. 2 plays later, Plummer, this time by Matt Mutiny on LeBounty. Still in the first quarter, the Seahawks lead at 3-0. Cards at their own 6. Plummer, picked off by Willie Williams. He's got a convoy, and he could go all the way. What? Touchdown, 28 yards, 10-0. Seahawks. Plummer this time from the shotgun tries to scramble.
Yeah, and think about that clock in your head as a quarterback. 1001, 1002, 1003. Plummer does not have the time to look down the football field.
Because you know he's elusive, but the Seahawks just brought it. 2 straight weeks, their defense unbelievable. Jake Bellamy with the hit. Philip Daniels recovers 5 first-half sacks for the Seahawks. Third quarter, they lead 20-7. Warren Moon to Joey Galloway. The simple turn and go. 9-yard touchdown. The Seahawks level Arizona. They raise and drop Arizona 33-14. This 3 years before this, Seattle started 0-2, 0-3, and 0-2 under Dennis Erickson. They've started 2-0 this year, outscoring teams 71-14. Sean Springs with an interception return for a touchdown as well. Mike Shanahan, defending Super Bowl champion Broncos. I know you like to hear me say it, Tom. Would it be 18 straight regular season wins? Oh, Elway to Shannon Sharp. Money, 38 yards against Dallas, 7-0 Denver.
Yeah, Shannon Sharp down the seam, untouched. Nobody made him reroute.
Broncos next possession after Ernie Mills touchdown for Dallas. Terrell Davis. Look at it go. 63 yards, Tom. No one laid a hand on him. And you know what's coming in the end zone after 63 yards? The mile-high salute. Same score, next possession. This is not a replay.
Well, look at the offensive line. Great blocking. They rail to the front side. They cut to the back side. There's a hole right up the middle of the field. And the great thing about Terrell, power at the line of scrimmage, but the speed to take it to this.
Here's what the Cowboys don't like. They look at the still photos. They're not moving either in the moving pictures or the still photos. 21-7 Denver. 28-14 the Broncos second quarter. Troy Aikman had 43 yards rushing last week. Marvin Washington drives his left shoulder into the ground. He's in obvious pain. He grabs the left shoulder. Take another look. He avoids Romanowski, but takes the hit from Washington. A fractured left clavicle for Aikman, out 4 to 8 weeks. That's horrible news from a team that seemed back on the rise. So Aikman left. Jason Garrett from Princeton ends up being the quarterback. Meanwhile, John Elway from Stanford rolls out, throws the pass, and he grabs his right hamstring. He leaves the game in favor of Bobby Brister. What's going on here? We start with Aikman and Elway. We end with Brister and Garrett. But the Broncos, 42-23. And Denver at 515 yards in the game. Terrell Davis was immense. 75 carries, 191 yards.
Yeah, and we talked about the run-pass differential for this team. You see the 22 passes by John Elway, but the 191 yards by Terrell Davis is the key to the game.
Obviously, 23 carries I meant. What I was looking at was this as we go inside the numbers. Carried it 75 times. It would have been Jim Brown. Barry Sanders had 185 yards rushing today for Detroit. The 3 leading guys in rushing last year all were held to under 100 yards in week 1. Week 2 is another story for Barry, TD, and Jerome Bettis.
Inside the Numbers is brought to you by Visa, the official card of the NFL. It's everywhere you want to be. www.visa.com.
One game left. Napoleon, no little man complex for he in their 80s as they go to the wire to try to beat the Giants at the Mausoleum. The last time the Giants were at the Oakland Raiders, Darth Vader wasn't even in the movies. It was 1972. Raiders' first play from scrimmage. Napoleon Kaufman. He was still at Elba the last time they played. Let him go. 80 yards. Touchdown. Just like that. There he is. Lead it 7-0. After an Ike Hilliard touchdown, pass from Danny Cannell makes it 7-7. Jeff George sacked 10 times last week. Michael Strahan had a couple of sacks himself for the Giants last week. There's the sack. Look at Strahan bulldoze.
I would say this defines the power rush as you watch Michael Strahan on Lincoln Kennedy. He just takes him, gets under his pad, pushes him right back to the quarterback, and then gets his sack.
The first defensive series of the third quarter, a nightmare for Oakland. They lead at 10-7. Brad Gom-DeLuiso off the infield. It's good. A 42-yard field goal holding on Oakland to automatic first down for the Giants. They take the points off the board, and they get going again. Danny Cannell to Chris Callaway, 14-10 Giants. Raiders charges 4 penalties in the first series of the second half. Giants down 20-17 with 47 seconds to go. Greg Davis has kicked the 26-yard field goal. Danny Cannell to Joe Juravicius, broken up by Charles Woodson. And Eric Turner sack forces 4th down, and then Turner does one better. He picks off Danny Cannell, and the Raiders even their mark at 1-1. Same for the Giants. They win it 20-17 as Kaufman rushed for 139 yards.
Primetime Players is brought to you by 1-800-COLLECT, the easy way to save.
My game ball goes to Reggie White. 3 sacks in the first half, 179.5 in his career. He can still bring it, Tom.
Yeah, and mine goes to Terrell Davis. 23 carries, 191 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's the way the Broncos win.
We got the Patriots and the Colts. If McGuire goes to, it's a homer, you'll see it. Sosa hit 61 and 62. Chargers, Saints, Falcons 2-0. What?